everyone, Chef B back. Today I'm going to demonstrate how to make the checkerboard cookies, or the brysselkex they're called in Swedish. So I basically have a couple different doughs here. One is vanilla and one is just chocolate, so it has cocoa powder. And this dough is actually more of a biscuit than it is like a sugar cookie dough. So there's only just butter, sugar, and flour in these, so it's really brittle. You can actually use a sugar cookie dough that works. I think if you don't have enough practice, using a sugar cookie dough works a little better because the egg kind of helps hold the dough together. But I like these because they produce a nice, crumbly, flaky cookie. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna unwrap this little piece here. And you definitely want to pull this out ahead of time, especially if you're using the brysselkex dough without any egg in it, because you can see it's very soft and very crumbly. So one trick I like to do is I like to use powdered sugar instead of flour sometimes when I roll out cookies, because that just keeps them from cracking, because the flour actually absorbs more moisture and then that causes the dough to crack. So I like to use powdered sugar, and then of course it just absorbs into the cookie and makes the cookie sweeter. And I really have never had anyone complain to me that their cookie was too sweet. So, all right, so once again, you just want to kind of go slow. You don't want to do this too fast, otherwise it's going to crack a lot. Now it is cracking a little bit, but we're going to fix that. So, of course I have a dough scraper here, so I like to use that to kind of help shape my dough as I'm going around. And I think I like to use this because then it helps minimize waste in the end when you're making the actual cookies. But you can always use the scraps for other things, which I'll show you in a little bit once we get close. So what you want to do is try and roll out a rectangle. You could even do a square, but I think a rectangle works pretty good, so you can get a fair amount of slices out of it. Now I notice the ends there are getting a little cracked, so I'm gonna just kind of loosen this guy up here a little. And I'm gonna slide him over, give him another dusting. And then I'm just kind of twisting them on there, so, because you want it to kind of move freely on the cutting board if possible, or wherever you're rolling it out. Now you definitely want to use something that allows you to roll these out to the same thickness, because then you'll get a nicer cookie, I think. So what I have here is I just have these little rolling templates right here, and they're just sticks of wood of different thicknesses. And I use these a lot when I'm rolling out cookie dough, because that just ensures that it's even all the way down, and I really do like that. I'm gonna put a little more on here. And like I said, I'm just kind of going slow. And then basically what happens is once you get down to these, they kind of hold the rolling pin, so it's this thick all the way through, and it really works really well, I think, because then it maintains that you have a nice even dough all the way through. So right on top of those, and it's totally even all the way through. So what we're going to do is very carefully loosen this guy. And of course, since I'm a chef, I like to cheat. So I got my trusty spatulas here, and I'm just gonna grab him and slide him over. And I'm just gonna put him on a sheet tray here, lined with parchment for now. So I'm gonna roll out the chocolate, and then I'm gonna stick it together. And then once I get 2 layers like that, I have one in the fridge right now, I'll pull that one out, and then I'll show you how you start making the checkerboard pattern. So now we're gonna roll out the chocolate one here. And you can also do different colors, different variations, so you could just make a vanilla batch. And then a lot of times I've seen them, they make them red, like half of it red, half of it green. And then you could do like a Christmas checkerboard if you want to. I've seen people do vanilla, green, and red. So they get all 3 colors in there. And that's kind of a spiral pattern. So what you do is the same thing that I'm doing here, which I'll show you. And then you just roll it out really, really thin, about 1/8 of an inch. And then you just put those layers, 2 layers together, and then you just roll them up like a roulade. All right, so we're gonna start rolling this chocolate one out here. And I'm gonna try and keep an eye on how wide it is, because what I want is I want it to kind of match the previous one that I rolled out here. So I just kind of take something, go to the edge here, and then just kind of use my finger about how wide I want it. And then I'll kind of come back to that every once in a while. All right, we'll get a little more powdered sugar down there. There we are. Kind of tighten up those edges here. All right, so I'm right at about the width that I need. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to roll it this way anymore. I'm just going to roll it this way. And I'm just going to make sure it's, once again, not stuck. Okay, we'll very carefully slide him back over here, and I kind of move him around so it gets coated with powdered sugar on the bottom. All right, and then I'm going to put my guides back up here. And then voila, there you go. Now this is the tricky part. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab your other one. And we're going to slide him over, make sure he's loose first. So let me get him out of the way. Okay, and then obviously you got to stick these together somehow. So right here I just have a little bit of egg wash. So I just have a little bit of egg wash here, and it's just a whipped up egg. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to brush the top of this. And this is basically culinary glue here. I'm just going to stick those together. And then we're very carefully going to attempt I want to try and make sure that it's on there straight. All right, then just kind of press it a little bit. And then you can go back through again and make sure all your edges are straight. Now obviously it's not going to line up everywhere. I got a little bit of an overhang here, but I'm going to trim that off. And then we can use those scrap pieces to make other cookies. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to throw this in the fridge. We're going to wrap this up. And then I'm going to go grab the one that I have in the fridge right now and show you how to finish them. All right, so here's one I did earlier. So you can see this one, and I had a little scrap piece there, so I just cut him off. So now this is refrigerated, so it's pretty solid, okay? So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut. I'm basically just going to cut strips, and then what I can do is start attaching them together. And depending on how big you want the cookie, you can do 4 of them. You can do 2 by 2. You can do 4 by 4. You can do 3 by 3. I'm going to do 4 by 4 because it makes for a nice big cookie. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to get a straight edge here. And then you definitely want to make sure you save these scraps. So I'm just using a knife, and you want to make sure that you're cutting straight down. And once again, like I said, save these scraps. I'll show you what to do with those later. And then what you want to make sure is that you have this about the same width. So I'm going to use my little scrap piece here. And you want to actually cut down. Don't drag the knife through, otherwise you'll rip the dough. Okay, and then we're going to lay him down. And we're going to do another one here. So I'm going to do, I think, 4 of them. So I'll do one more here. And then we're going to move him out of the way. And then basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to very carefully So once again, you're gonna need your egg wash. You wanna make sure that you cut all the way through, so see how I missed that a little bit. That's all right. Then we're just gonna brush the top of this guy. We're gonna lay him down and stick him to that one. And then you wanna make sure you do opposite colors. So I'm just gonna make sure this is cut all the way through. All right, so see now this is that way, so we're gonna stick this one on this way, and this one this way. So once again, I'm just gonna egg wash those guys. And then I think I'm gonna put him over here, and then him right here. And once again, you just wanna kind of press him a little bit. Actually, I need a couple more. I'm gonna actually do 2 more, and then I'll make a rectangle. So you can do them square. This one I'm just gonna do rectangle because I think if I do 2 more layers, it's gonna be a little thick. And then once again, if your dough starts to get soft, then you definitely wanna put it back in the fridge. So I'm just gonna brush the top of this guy and brush right here. Okay, gonna lay him down, stick him together, pick him up on there, and voila. So now if you look at this, so if you look at the end, you can see how it's kind of taking shape there. So we have the alternating colors. And then basically what you do is you refrigerate it again, and then there's always this little scrap piece here. And once again, save those little scraps. And then in order to make the cookie, you just cut about 1/4 inch thick slices. Well, obviously this needs to refrigerate a little because he's not very stuck. And then you just cut slices like that. And then those go right on a sheet tray to bake. So this is actually an icebox dough. It's an icebox type of cookie, so that's how you make the checkerboard shape there. I'll cut another one here so you can see it. If you really want to make it fancy, you could actually roll out either another chocolate or a vanilla really, really thin and wrap the entire cube. Then you have a little layer of dough around the outside, but it's up to you. So that's basically your checkerboard cookies right there. I'm gonna put him back on, and then I'll show you how to make. So like I said, if you have your scraps, you just kind of grab those, and then I just kind of twist them together, kind of squish them, and then you just kind of roll it into a ball. And then you can press those, and then you have kind of a marbled cookie. So that's one way you can do with your scraps. That one probably needed a little more dough. Actually, this one right here, what we'll do is, we're gonna kind of smash him down a little. We'll get a little sugar in there. I'm just gonna kind of roll him a little bit. And it's really easy to use a lot of these scraps too. And then what you can do is brush that with egg wash, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of roll them up here, kind of keeping them tight. And then you can make different sizes, different shapes. Now it's a little cracked there, that's because it's starting to get a little warm, but I'm gonna squish them together here, just so you can kind of see. And I'm gonna kind of roll them a little more. So roll them and tuck the sides in. And then you can kind of see, you get a cool pattern there. Same thing, you would actually want to refrigerate that, and then it would slice, and that's how you kind of get the spiral shape. You can press those a little. The classic ones, they actually roll the whole log in sugar, so you roll a log, and then you roll it in sugar, like a coating sugar, and then you bake them off like that. So that's your brysselkex and your icebox cookies right there.